So this is the Atom bust from Real Steel, and this is produced from Sideshow Collectibles. Some of you may have seen the video from Bucephalos on YouTube yesterday, and Yavuz did a very enthusiastic review of the Atom bust, and his enthusiasm is well founded because there were a few surprises in store when I received my bust, and I actually told Yavuz beforehand what they were, even though he didn't want to know. But yeah, there were a few surprises in store, and but it's not just that. It's how this thing looks and how it's put together. It's really well made. I just don't have any grumbles about this bust at all, and hence the reason why Yavuz was so pleased in his video yesterday. Obviously the lighting effects, I'd seen the photos on Sideshow's website, so I knew that the front logo, it was going to be illuminated. Incidentally, if you switch it off, the Atom name on the front of there is actually red, it's painted red, but when you switch it on, you end up with a bead of green light around all the wording, and it virtually looks all green. In addition, obviously, Atom has got the illuminated eyes. All these are LED. You've also got green LEDs in and around the shoulder and neck area, and as you can see, that gives a nice green glow. You've also got some additional LEDs inside the head, so when you actually look in from the side, in through the vents on the side of the head, you've also got some illumination inside there as well. What was the surprise, and I noticed this when I plugged him in a few days ago, I heard a noise, a buzzing noise, and that buzzing noise was actually a couple of motors turning inside the head. So what Atom has got, and like I say, Sideshow never mentioned this was a complete surprise to me. There are two motors on either side of the vents on Atom's head, and that spins a couple of fans on either side, and the fans don't spin particularly fast. If anyone who's seen the movie, you'll know that the actual fans in the movie spin fairly slowly, not particularly quick, and these are exactly the same. You know, the fans in these just sort of spin at a steady pace, and that gives a nice effect as well, because as the fans are spinning, you've obviously got the green lights in there as well, so you get a flickering effect of green lights as the fans are turning inside there. Next up is the battle damage, and sometimes I've criticised some of these companies that the battle damage can be a little bit lame. Sometimes it will just consist of a few brush marks, silver brush marks, to give the appearance that the paint has been scratched off or something. It's not particularly good. But on this occasion, the battle damage is sublime. It is absolutely perfect. You need to bear in mind that if you remember the film, Atom, he was pulled out of the mud. He wasn't working. Hugh Jackman and his son fixed him up and got him working, but at the end of the day, he was a battered old droid, and there's various holes in the side of the neck, and you can actually see into the neck through these holes and see all the workings and the mechanism inside the neck. But it's not just that. All the battle damage is so realistic, and the repair work. It looks like he really has had a bang on the front of his head, and he's got a seam weld running across the forehead and down onto the chin, and of course the heat of welding that back together has discoloured the steel, sorry, on the forehead of Atom. And this battle damage, it follows through on the side of the head and round the back as well. But in addition, you've got areas where it looks like he's been repaired and he's been primed, but then not finished off painting. So you know, he's a battered old droid that's been worked hard over the years. And all of this damage that Sideshow have applied is absolutely perfect. I have no grumbles whatsoever with any of the battle damage. When it comes to the face, another nice surprise as well I thought is that when I saw some photographs from Yavuz, I noticed that the linkages and weld marks on the front of the face mask, which make up Atom's face, were slightly different. So it looks like that everybody is going to have a slightly different and unique Atom bust, which is quite nice really if you think about it, if you've got something that's unique and not the same as everybody else. But what you've basically got is a line, an offset line on the front of the face mask, which, as I say, it looks like links and little welded pieces, and that makes up the nose area. And then you've got a few links which run horizontally across the bottom, and that just kinks up a little bit on the one side. So it looks like Atom is actually smiling slightly. The mesh on the front is metal, it's real mesh, it's not plastic or anything like that. It looks like it's difficult to tell, but it looks like there's either 2 or 3 layers of this shaped mesh, and then in turn it's pinned into place by, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. And the screws are only tiny, that they aren't too in your face or anything. The screws are quite subtle. The other quick thing I'll mention as well is the size of Atom. He's quite a substantial piece, he really is. He's maybe not quite as tall as, say, my Darth Vader or my Wolf bust at the back of me. But he's very broad, he's very wide, and he's very deep. I actually tried this on my cabinet on the opposite side of the room, and he was so deep that the front of the bust was actually overhanging the cabinet. So it's worth bearing in mind that you are going to need quite a substantial table or cabinet to actually put him on. The other thing is the weight. He's again exceptionally heavy. I think one of the heaviest busts I own is probably the Predalien bust, but this comes in a close second. He's a really substantial and hefty piece. And then you come around to the back, and this is the only part that's separate that you have to attach. So this just unplugs. Again, it's even this piece alone is quite a substantial and hefty piece, and then you've got a metal rod that just plugs into a hole on the back of the bust. You've got what looks like another fan, and this was the fan that I actually thought when I switched it on was probably turning, just this one fan at the back, but it wasn't. But that's just a static fan, and then the cable, then there's a small jack plug at the bottom of the back of the bust, and that just plugs into there. And then once this plugs back in, then that hides the jack plug. Hides the jack plug, so makes it look neat, and the cable just runs out between the fan at the bottom. So that's my brief rundown of the Atom bust. For me, he's an easy 10 out of 10, to be honest with you. You know, if you're a fan of the film, then it's really a no-brainer. And these are actually in stock as well, I think, at Sideshow Collectibles. It's been a long wait getting this piece. I think it was originally due for something like the summertime that it was meant to be out. But as usual with most of these collectibles, it was delayed and delayed again and delayed some more. So eventually it turned up last week for me in December. And it was worth every penny, and the fact that I had a nice surprise with the working fans inside the head was an even nicer surprise. So I would recommend this, even if you're not a fan of the film. If you just love quality pieces and you're into your robots, then this would certainly be a standout piece in your collection. So highly recommended from me. That's it. Next review I'll be doing is hopefully going to be my Darth Vader Cinemaquette. So until then, I'll speak to you soon. Thanks.